I'm always delighted to be with Saul News. This has been such a leader in the conservative movement and the Republican Party.
Welcome to the Saul's Newsstand News Rewind for December 17th, 2021. CNBC reports, Democrats are unlikely to pass Biden's social spending plan this year. Here's what it means. President Joe Biden's social spending and climate policy bill has stalled in the Senate, all but extinguishing Democrats' hopes of passing it this year. Senator Joe Manchin, a conservative Democrat who alone can block his party's plan, has not signed off on the $1.75 trillion proposal as his party waits to see whether it complies with Senate rules. It means any vote on the bill will likely slip into 2022, when the coming midterm elections will only heighten the sharp political pressure surrounding the plan. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer said on Wednesday that his party will, quote, continue working on getting the Senate into a position where we can vote on the president's Build Back Better legislation. He did not mention his goal of approving the plan by Christmas, a target date he has repeated for weeks. An op-ed from the Wall Street Journal tells us the real cost of Biden's spending plan. President Biden's tax and entitlement plan received what should be a pair of knockout punches late last week. The report of surging inflation has been well covered, but the media have largely ignored the second blow, the real cost of the plan if honestly scored. Allow us to complete the record. We've been telling you for months that the plan's advertised cost of $1.75 trillion over 10 years includes multiple budget gimmicks that disguise the real cost. The Penn-Wharton budget model has scored the 10-year cost at about $4.6 trillion. But the White House keeps claiming against all evidence that the cost is zero. Now comes the Congressional Budget Office to report that the claim of zero cost is a big con. CBO, a political outfit beholden to Congress, can't be so blunt. It is constrained by budget conventions imposed by Congress. But even under those conventions, CBO has said the bill would add $200 billion to the deficit over 10 years. Democratic leaders Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer reacted furiously to this news, falling back on their claims that the Build Back Better Act is fully paid for. And finally, townhall.com reports, White House claims devastating CBO score is fake. Speaking to reporters at the White House on Monday, Press Secretary Jen Psaki was asked about the enormous cost of President Joe Biden's Build Back Better spending plan.
So the president says that the Build Back Better is not going to add a penny to the deficit. The CBO has this new score where they assume that social programs are going to be made permanent, and in that case it would add almost $3 trillion. So does that mean that President Biden will commit that these programs are not going to be made permanent?
Well, first of all, what you're talking about here is a fake CBO score that is not based on the actual bill that anybody is voting on. This was a request by Senator Graham to score a bill that is not currently being debated. That is his prerogative to do. But what our focus is on the existing bill that will lower the deficit, that will also, over an additional 10 years, pay for the $2 trillion tax cuts that Republicans didn't pay for. They're welcome for that. So I would say, Peter, to your question, the president has conveyed very clearly, multiple times publicly, that he would like programs, if they're extended, to be paid for. That remains his commitment. But it's important to understand that when anybody raises a question about this new CBO score, it is a fake score about a bill that doesn't exist. And we should really focus on the actual bill everybody's going to vote on and considering in Congress right now.
Psaki referred to the score as fake, but it is very real and adds $3 trillion to the deficit. Not to mention, the plan would worsen the inflation crisis, which is why Democratic Senators Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema are opposing it. That concludes your Saul's Newsstand News Rewind for December 17th, 2021. For more political news faster, visit saulsnews.com.